fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and welcome to my top 10 Black Series of the Year list. A super fun video that I love making every year, and it's always a little controversial, it's always a fun discussion, and I'm super happy to share my thoughts with all of you. We have had an amazing year as Black Series collectors. Honestly, on this entire list of figures, these are all bangers. But there were basically no misses throughout this entire calendar year of Black Series releases. It was very difficult for me to even pick a most disappointing figure, and I think it will probably shock you when we get there. But it's just been an awesome year to be a collector. And as a collector, that makes me incredibly happy, because any year that it's hard to pick a bad one means that it was just a good year. And last year was like this year is like this. I'm hopeful for 2025 and beyond. It's just been an amazing time to be a collector. It really feels like Hasbro has been listening to us lately. For those that make their top 10 most wanted lists, people may have noticed that this year has a lot of the common picks for the last 2 or 3 years of everyone's lists. I think that this year will be fun for that list, because everyone's list is going to have to change, because like we were kind of all starting to say, Droideka, Savage Opress, Super Battle Droid. And like we're getting all of these boxes checked. So I'm really, really happy about that. So yeah, it's just been a great year. Like I said, a great year to be a collector. So I want to start with my honorable mention, and it's a little bit of a blanket statement, but I am choosing all of the random Mandos. The Night Owl, the Mercenary, the Shriekhawks, every random background Mando that everyone went, but they're blue, about all year long. I don't care that they were blue. They were all reuse of some really great base bodies, and they really have fleshed out that Mandalorian shelf, and every single one of them is appreciated in my collection. I'm incredibly happy to have them all. So yeah, the random Mandos, just as a blanket one, I think some of them maybe were better than others, but none of them were bad, and so I'm just picking them as a generalization blanket statement. Alright, moving into the true top 10. At spot number 10, we have the Night Trooper. This figure absolutely shocked me when we got it. I knew it was just going to be a 2020 Stormtrooper with some tweaking, but boy did it tweak right. I love everything about this. I love the sculpted ribbons, I love the weathering, the sculpted in Kitsungi cracking. Just, it was painted amazing. It was a great representation of what we saw in the Ahsoka series, and I'm just incredibly pleased with how it turned out, and it's absolutely deserving to be on this list. At spot number 9, I have the Phase 1 Clone Trooper. Now, I just chose the all-white one. However, the 501st Phase 1 isn't a bad figure either. But this is ultimately higher on the list, like as far as higher as in like on the bad end of the list, because I think I've put the new Clone Trooper sculpt on my list every year the last couple of years, and you know what? It continually impresses me. But it is just another Clone Trooper. But I love the helmet sculpt on this. I love the articulation. It is just a really, really fun figure, and it's one that I'm really happy to have army build to the degree that I have. It's just a great issue. There's basically zero flaws with it, and just one of my most highly recommendeds, and it's just great. I love it thoroughly, through and through. The Phase 1 Clone Trooper is excellent. In spot number 8, this is from earlier in the year, I have the Phantom Menace Padme. This is a great figure. We see her wear this outfit a couple of times in the Clone Wars animated series, or something very similar to it, at least with the maroon. So it's a little bit of a blanket figure. It greatly represents what we see in the Phantom Menace for the final duel. And you know what? Sure, my most wanted Padme from the Phantom Menace would absolutely be the Queen Amidala look, but this figure was done amazingly. The sculpt work, the articulation, the likeness is pretty good. Like, I'm extremely satisfied with this figure, and it's just great finally seeing, same with the clone, we've got some great prequel era representation this year, and I always love that. I love a year where you get more prequel figures than OT figures. It basically never happens, and it's just been a great time. I really love this Padme. I think it's a great representation of the character, and it's just a fine addition to my collection. Here in spot number 7, this is where I'm going to lose some of y'all, but I'm a Star Wars fan, not a Star Wars hater, and that's what most of you are. And I am choosing Jedi Master Soul from The Acolyte. I loved this show through and through. I don't care that Burger King CD-ROM that said that Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday was in this year is no longer canon. It wasn't canon before the show came out anyway. And yeah, I love the show, and Soul was a great character, and his figure did not flop. It has some amazing sculpting, amazing articulation. The likeness is superb. I love the cut of the soft goods Jedi robes that this entire wave got. They lay very nicely. I like the stitched down hood. You don't have to worry about it just being all poofy around the head. It is a beautiful representation of a favorite character from the show, and I adore this figure. It's so fun to pose. He gets into such great poses. He's been my desk buddy for a while, and I've just had a great time with it. So Jedi Master Soul, absolutely very deserving of spot number 7 on the list. Keeping with the trend, in spot number 6 is another Acolyte figure, and this one is Jeki. I love the Padawan Jeki Lon figure. This is a amazing sculpt that really, really captures the likeness of Daphne Keene, and it's just a fun alien sculpt. I love everything about it. It's very well done. It's scaled down a little bit because, Padawan younger, shorter body. It doesn't limit the articulation any more than any other Jedi sculpt does, and it just really captures the look from the show very, very well. I love this figure. The soft goods robe, same as Soul, just lays very nice, and it's a really, really good figure. I love having her and Soul paired on my desk, and I can't wait to get that Acolyte shelf put together sometime very soon. Let's go ahead and take a break from the list now that we're at the middle of the pack and talk about my most disappointing figure of the year. This is another spot where I'm going to lose some of y'all, and I need you just to really hear me out on this one, all right? The figure this year that personally, remember my list, so personally disappointed me the most was the Droideka. yeah, that's a spicy hot take, but that's my thing. Hybrids hot takes. So, the thing about the Droideka, right, is it is sculpted beautifully, and it very, very much looks the part, and the paint on it. Justin from Out of the Basement loves to say iridescent purple. And yeah, the iridescent purple, over top of the coppery color does look beautiful. It very much looks the part from the Phantom Menace. I do love the deco. I like the sculpt work on it. However, for me personally, I feel like it was over-engineered. I didn't need it to be able to turn into a wheel. I know that some really, really love that feature, and good for you if you do. But for me personally, it really kind of makes it an over-articulated mess. Just to be super transparent, I think it looks great, but it is so frustrating to articulate. It's just, you try to get it in a pose, and there's so many different swivels all over the place, and then, the head is on that ball joint, and it's always floppy, and I think it was overdone. For me, personally, all a Droideka ever needs to do is stand there in blasting mode, and for that to be achieved with this figure, truthfully, I would have been totally fine if it was a statue, if it didn't have any articulation whatsoever. And I just, and I totally get that that's not what Hasbro does, but if it had been something a little simpler, it would have been fine. It's the same thing that bothered me with the 375 ones that were available when I was a kid growing up. I had a couple different ones. They all were just kind of complicated, and I don't want complicated. I want fun in my action figures. Not saying I don't want articulation, but this one was a bit much for me personally. So, yeah. Now that I've lost you all, now that you are all like, yo, this guy's a quack, he doesn't know what he's talking about, let's go ahead and get back into the top 10. I think that the top 5 here, I'll probably get most of y'all back on. So in spot number 5 is an insanely demanded figure that I cannot believe that it took 11 years to get in the line. However, a little piece of me is happy it took 11 years. That way it would have been so definitively done on the first crack. Is Darth Sidious. I think that the new Darth Sidious from Revenge of the Sith is amazingly done. I love the soft goods robe. It is stitched very well. It looks the part of the costume. The likeness is superb. I do not care about the Luke Skywalker reuse. It is just a generic black tunic body sculpt, and you know what? It works great for Sidious. I don't care what's going on underneath of that crimson robe. It could have been anything. They could have used an Aayla Secura body, and I wouldn't have cared. But it doesn't, I know that some people talk about it, like, it's weird, why would they do that? Like, who cares? It looks like Darth Sidious, the sculpt is amazing, they did great work on the lightsaber, the electricity hands are cool, not for me, but they're cool, and I thoroughly, through and through, love everything about this figure, just such a well done job from Hasbro on this one. Spot number 4 is filled by potentially the longest wait in the line, and that is Ki-Adi-Mundi. Ki-Adi-Mundi is such a well-done figure. He is sculpted beautifully. It's one of the only Jedi to feature the ball-jointed wrist articulation, and that likeness is superb, and just the paint, the deco, just everything about this figure is wonderfully done. And that's shocking, because they sculpted him years ago, and they're finally getting him out in the line, because we waited, 2 years for him? But a wait worth doing, because what a well-done figure. It's one of the best Jedi Council members they have done in the line so far. It'll be hard to top him going forward, and I love this. I love everything about the Ki-Adi-Mundi figure. There is zero flaws here. Just beautifully well done figure. Spot number 3, I wasn't sure about this one the second I got it, but the more I've played with it, the more I've liked it, is Ahsoka the White from the Ahsoka series. I have really come to love this figure. Now, the Mandalorian outfit for Ahsoka is a figure that I have held very highly for a number of years now. I love how they hid the butterfly joints with the cutout shoulder area and the costume, and I always loved the likeness on it. I thought it was good, and this new updated one is such an upgrade. I don't even know that I like that old one anymore. I do. It's a good figure. But the Ahsoka the White features an updated likeness with the longer Leku, and it's just so good looking. It is just a perfect Rosario Dawson likeness, and even though the costume is very similar in the show, it is different in the show, but it's extremely similar stylistically. I don't think Hasbro reused a single part for the figure. The lightsabers maybe, but not for the figure itself. It's a complete and total new sculpt. They took inspiration from the old one in certain places. They improved things like the knees, and it is just such a well-done figure. It is just an amazing addition, a beautiful representation to one of my most favorite characters in the saga. Yeah, Ahsoka the White, it's up there. It's a great release from this year. In spot number 2 is Darth Maul. Now, if you're asking what issue, like which, version, because they released them a couple of times, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the single pack, because I didn't buy the Phantom Menace 3-pack, and while I do have the speeder, I'm not factoring in deluxe things like this. I saw where people put the Maul on the speeder and the droid on the Stap on their top 10 lists, and I'm like, of course they're going to be. Like, a multi-pack is always going to top a single figure. Like, that speeder is cooler than some figures. Like, so I'm not going to factor that in, because that would just give it an insane boost. I'm just talking purely, your single pack, line. So I'm going to talk with the single pack Darth Maul, and this figure is just amazing. The sculpt leads to so many insane poses that you just could not do with that 2013 Darth Maul. And it's just such a great figure. I'm loving the likeness on it. I hear people say that it looks like Clone Wars Maul and not Ray Park. Like, who cares? It looks like Darth Maul. It's great. I love it. The just insane sculpt, and it looks like that baggy robe from the Phantom Menace, but you can still get him into all the poses that you would ever want to get him in. Like, just such a well done. So well done. I love this figure through and through. It's one of the best of the Black Series in the last many years. And yeah, it's just insane. I love it. And now, for the wind-up. And because I haven't said him yet, I'm sure some of y'all were guessing that he was going to be landing here. And what a great number 1 spot for the list. I mean, there was no one else in the line could have done this. Is the Super Battle Droid. What an insane release. People have been asking for it for years. And I figured when we get it, it would just be a figure. I didn't think that we had to wait for years because they were cooking for that long. The sculpt on this is superb. I'm talking the single release. I actually really hate the deco on the 3PO 2-pack. But just the sculpt is superb. The paint is perfect. It looks just like Attack of the Clones. And those removable plating pieces, are you kidding me? Like, they went above and beyond and further. Like, this figure was so beautifully done. Applying paint underneath of those armor plates, like, come on. This thing is nuts. I love the Super Battle Droid, Hasbro's finest work of the year. Although, again, as I said, Hasbro cooked all year long. Hasbro had no misses this year. Even the Droideka, which annoyed me, wasn't a miss. I still bought like 4 of it. So yeah, that's where I'm at for 2024. Just what an amazing year to be a Black Series collector. Hasbro has obviously been listening to the fans, and we are getting everything that we have wanted in the line for the longest time. And it's just a good time. I'm really loving it. I'm excited to see what the future holds. From what we have pipelined and revealed coming in 2025, I think we are in for another great year of great releases. And the rumors for 2025 are just making my head spin. I am super excited for what's to come. I think that we're going to have a good one. But yeah, that's where I'm at. This has been my top 10 list for 2024. Lots of cooking this year, so great work, Hasbro. And this was a hard list. Every year they get harder. So I'm going to go work on something else now. Thanks for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, you should leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the end of video stuff. You know the drill. I will catch you next time. Until then, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.